All right, all right, all right. Let those notifications go out. Yes, we are. We are not in the car today for a live. I was thinking about taking a break until God put this on my spirit. And because today is a break day from certain things like, oh, you could say makeup, for one. And then it's also a very busy laundry day. I'm having to get caught up on some towels and sheets, and you know how it goes. So, that being said, I've also been doing my physical therapy. Yeah, as we continue walking and healing and all of that great stuff. So, let those notifications go out. I want to talk about narcissists and how they abuse their pets. Because while I was on my walk this morning, the Lord put it on my spirit because I was thinking about, wait a minute, okay, you know how we do the self-reflection to connect dots. And I remember when I was living with the one narcissist that was the first Jezebel that I had seen, but I didn't know that's what it was at the time. Remember the bodybuilder that I talk about in Real Events of Narcissistic Abuse? Yeah. Yeah, he got the book thrown at him by the judge, right, with a restraining order. So he had a dog. And I remember moving in. Yeah, by the way, for those who don't know, this is the book that I'm talking about, okay? This one right here is where you will learn all about several narcissistic abuse situations that I found myself in. And see, here's the thing. Y'all are not alone. Okay, y'all are not alone. That's why I have that. All right, and so, yeah, I wanted to go ahead and put that up there real quick so you'll know the book I'm talking about. And while those notifications are going out, let me go ahead and let y'all know I am Michelle Dickey. Here we go. Let me find this banner here. I am Michelle Dickey. Right? Yeah, master consultant, coach, trauma specialist, minister, and author. I highly encourage y'all to please check out the website, cdhrwdrmd.org, to learn more about this ministry and the work. We are a growing community of, as you can see, spiritual warriors for Christ at CHA. And this is the Let's Just Chat show, which started out, for those who don't know, started out in the car office, many moons ago, as just a campfire type theme. Let's just chat, right? And it evolved over time into CHA's Let's Just Chat show, streaming here on the YouTube channel, Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are centered while combating radio frequency for healthier living. And so let's go ahead and do the quick check as I usually do here. I'm going to leave that up for anybody who's new and then those who might need a reminder. Yeah, you would think. Yeah, you would think that a lot more would come on in, and they will. Y'all got to remember something. We had a crazy season there that we are now bouncing back from. Listen, y'all, Chosen One bounced back quick. Okay, Chosen One bounced back quick. And so whenever the enemy tried to do a little something in our world here, for those who have been following us for a while, I had to make a quick, and I mean quick move from one apartment unit to another one, which is fine. We're here. But we want to talk about and their pets because, oh, let's face it, they do abuse their pets. And so, as I was talking about earlier, okay, the bodybuilder dude, again, you'll read about that real event from narcissistic abuse, someone's survival guide. And, you know, I remember he told me that he rescued the dog. I'm going to paraphrase here. I stand corrected if I'm not remembering correctly, but something about he got the dog from somewhere, and the dog came from an abusive household. And that's very common for a narcissist to tell us that about their pets when their pets have a little something like a limp or some other type of, I don't know if you really want to call it a disability, but, an animal that has something about them that is not quite right. And so we know, we know that, okay, in the wild, animals, they do what they do, but I'm talking about as a pet. If they've got an animal, and there's multiple ways that they will abuse their pet. And I want y'all to understand that a big way that narcissists abuse their pet is neglect. That is abuse, right? Absolutely. Just like they neglect their children, they neglect their pet. Like they'll have a pet and they'll keep, let's say a dog, for example, and they'll keep that dog outside 24/7. They don't take it for a walk. All they do is make sure that it's got food and water. And the dog, oh my goodness, bless its heart, that okay, chosen ones, you walk up to it, and that dog is just happy as all get out to see you, right? Tail wagging, just wants to lick you all up. But the narcissist that is the owner doesn't want to do anything with it. And I had one tell me that actually did that. And I said to myself, okay, well, how come you never take her for a walk? It was a female dog. I was like, you never take her for a walk. I didn't say that to his face, but I was like, you never take her for a walk. You don't ever, like, nothing or whatever. And I guess I could have, but I'm going to tell y'all something. All right, for me, that was a big dog. That was too much dog for me. I know, I was like, that dog would be walking me. All right, I'm just saying. I think that dog was too big for me. But not for him. He was strong enough to be able to handle that dog, but would not take it for a walk with nothing. Just always made sure that it had food and water, but that was it. That was it. And I said to myself, okay, wow, that's neglect. And it was quite ironic because without the dog getting any kind of exercise or being properly cared for, over time, her back leg quit working the way they were supposed to. And so he ended up having to take her to the vet, and they had to put her to sleep. And he acted all sad about it. I said to myself, hold on a minute. Only a narcissist will do that. So what he did was he used the fact that he had to put his pet to sleep, a pet that he never really cared about in the first place. All right, he never walked it. He abused it through neglect, but wanted to turn around and use it as a pity party. And I said, oh man, that is classic for a narcissist. Because that's what they'll do. They turn around and do that. And I was like, oh my gosh. So things like that you don't really notice it when you're in the moment. And if you don't know about narcissism and you don't know about these kinds of things yet, you're kind of like, well, okay, my condolences, and all of that. But then you reflect and you're like, hold on a minute. That was totally abuse. He was abusing that poor dog, and she would, oh man. And then the fact that he had to put her to sleep as a pity party. And I said to myself, no, hold on a minute. So on my walk this morning, the buffering demon in tonight. Okay, well, it does happen, all right, fellow warriors. And so it's fine. I know you can always catch this on the replay if need be. So when we see a narcissist doing what they do with their pets, at first, if we don't know they're a narcissist, it's very believable, isn't it? Because they're like the bodybuilder dude. He had a dog, quite friendly, and the back leg did not work quite right. And so I'm starting to wonder about narcissists who have medium to large sized dogs and their back leg don't seem to be working quite right. Anywho, that's not a coincidence. So that being said, well, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, because dogs, I believe maybe their back legs are supposed to be the strongest part of their body. I don't know. Step in and correct. I stand corrected if that's not right. But something is in my spirit, just like telling me that might be, because it seems to be a target area of dogs, big, like medium to large size dogs, seem to be the back end and their back leg. But we also know that the devil and his narcissist use radio frequency poisoning to manipulate the autonomic nervous system, in particular around, for humans especially, and animals. The target area happens to be the buttocks. Oh yeah, if you don't think the nerves in your buttocks are extremely important for radio frequency manipulation, you better think again. That's why I gave you all that exercise. For those who want to know how connected your nerves are from your feet to your butt. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm not kidding. You learn those pressure points in your feet, and you give yourself at that tailbone area, massage those muscles, and if you don't feel it in the arch of your foot, that means your ANS is asleep. Okay, that's how interconnected everything is in your nervous system. And remember, those are the same nerves that run up the shoulder blade, that run up to spinal cord, that run up to the amygdala. Okay, be mindful of this, okay? So when you think of a dog, a medium to large sized dog, and how it's like the one narcissist had to put her to sleep because her back end and back leg stopped working correctly. And then this bodybuilder, now the bodybuilder was before that, but I made the connection on my walk today. That's my point, is that, hold on a second, he also had something wrong with his back end and his back leg, like couldn't quite walk right. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. What? That connection? Well, now we know, I believe. If you take what we know about radio frequency poisoning being used against us, well, and animals, but for mind control and other things, but also to keep the autonomic nervous system numbed, well, that would be what they're doing to the dogs. Got to keep their ANS numbed so that they don't necessarily feel when they might be getting whacked back there. Think about that for a moment. I know it's not a pretty picture, but I was like, okay. And the bodybuilder gave me that story that he got that dog and the dog came from an abusive household. Well, I didn't know the bodybuilder was an abuser yet. Remember, I just moved in. It's been just a few months, right? Listen, y'all, that's something we learned real quick, is that if anybody, female or male, that you are dating, and they ask you to move in with them within the 3 to 6 months, even the first year, that is a huge red flag, and the answer should always be no. Because, and I will tell you right now, they do that. If they want you to move in that quick, and they get mad because you say no, well, then they're a narcissist. You don't need to be with them anyway. Time to go. All right? Because if they want you to move in that fast, that's something that we learned. It's a huge red flag. Many of us had to learn the hard way. That's why we can sit here and tell you that if you're dating somebody and they want you to move in that fast, especially within the first year or even 2 years. I mean, come on, it takes time to get to know somebody. That's why I'm going to tell you, at least 2 years. However long it takes. But if they want you to move in quickly, yeah, you better rethink some stuff and know that that's a narcissist. But they will do things to their pets. Well, to garner attention though too. I mean, come on now. Yeah, they want to get attention. But when that bodybuilder told me that, and of course because I didn't know yet, it was only a few months of dating, and I went ahead and agreed to move in. He said, I'll take care of your phone bill and all that while you work. And I was like, okay, I mean, hey, it was a sweet deal, right? So, so it seemed, and his dog was friendly enough. But then I was remembering that on my walk today. I said to myself, I was like, well, I said, how is it that, well, yeah, I mean, it don't make sense, does it? Okay. And I was like, okay, but then after, well, let's just say, the dog basically destroyed one of my personal belongings, and yeah, it upset me pretty good because it was a personal belonging that was also a necessity. But I got to thinking about how, hold on a second, that necessity happened to be locked up in, well, not locked up, but in a tight case through the night. How in the world did that dog get that thing open? He couldn't have. The bodybuilder fed his dog those things. I said, oh, of course he did. And then and then I remembered the other dog, and then I also remember some other narcissists that had some dogs that also had issues, if you will. And I was like, okay, hold on a minute. There's some dots to connect here. And yes, it didn't sit right with me anymore. And I said, wait a minute. He told me, because when I was leaving him, he busted open a glass frame over my head. And so the Women's Crisis Center got pictures and all of that. And that's what we went to court with. Of course, because he got haughty with the judge, we didn't even need those pictures. That's the funny part about it. But anyhow, I was remembering the dog. Because after that happened, he got rid of the dog. Like, he said, found somebody who would take the dog. But I wasn't there to see the dog being picked up. So I don't really know. Because we do know that a lot of narcissists who are psychopaths or sociopaths, they will kill their pets. It's unfortunate, but they do it. And I'm not accusing anybody. No, I'm just saying that is a possibility. Yeah, but then again, it's also a possibility he did find a good home for it. I pray that he did find a good home for that dog. But just the fact that he was physically abusive to me, even in my sleep, it took a while for me to realize that was going on. But when I realized that, and then I remembered, hold on a second, they abuse their pets too. Narcissists abuse their pets. Of course they do. Especially if there's no one else in the house. Right? There's no one else around for them to take out their anger on. And they're an innocent pet. Dog or cat. Or what have you. Now, I don't know about a fish, but I'm just saying that if they are the physically abusive types, they're going to do that. Now, if they're not physically abusive, well, I don't know. I mean, how would you classify neglect? Because we know that neglect is abuse, right? So how would you classify that? Is neglect psychological and emotional, or is neglect also a physical type of abuse? Let me know in the comments below, even on the replay, what would you categorize neglect as? A physical abuse or all three? I can imagine it would be psychological and emotional, sure. But is there a physical component? I mean, I would say yeah, even though it's not like a violent physical abuse, there is that physical aspect because you are neglecting them in the physical. Like, you're not taking them for a walk. You're not doing things for its overall health. The only thing you're doing is giving it water and food, if you're doing that on a regular basis, right? I mean, we know a lot of narcissists would skip that if they could get away with it, right? And they do. So all three types. Okay, see, that's where I was going with it too, because when you think about a child being abused by a narcissist with that neglect, it's like psychological, emotional torture for a child, and then it's also physical because there's no comforting, there's no real genuine caretaking going on as far as giving that child a hug or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? And making sure it got clean clothes, and it's just all kinds of things that go into that. But the narcissists do abuse their pets, and I think that neglect, yeah, that sure is a form of physical abuse. It's just not violent per se. And it's more, let's just say neglect is more of a silent physical abuse. And then we also know, listen, we also know that narcissists will use their pet as a lure, right? They want to try and lure in their talk. Like if they know that on average, a normal human being is going to be an animal person. Okay, chosen ones, we like animals. Okay, some of us prefer dogs, some of us prefer cats. Okay, it just is what it is. But we like pets overall. We love animals. I mean, I like horses. Listen, we love animals because they're God's creation as well. So it's like we have that. And so the narcissists know that human nature, that we are going to gravitate towards, like, oh, look at that cute dog, right? So a narcissist got a dog, walking it in the park, and will use it as a lure, as a bait, okay, to trap a potential supply, if you will. But you got to pay attention to the animal demeanor towards you. Pay attention to the animal demeanor towards the owner if you want to know whether or not they're a narcissist. And a lot of times, it's just like when a narcissist tells us, when there's no pets or animals involved, and one of the first things out of their mouth is, oh, well, all my exes were crazy. We now know that's a red flag, right? Okay, so I would say that if you meet them and you, let's just say, oh, let's say it's a dog, and you go up and you're like, oh, is it friendly? Can I pet? Can I pet the dog? And they say, yeah, sure, because she won't bite or anything like that. So they sniff you out and they wag their tail and the person allows you to pet their dog, and let's just say that out of their mouth, you didn't even ask, right? Remember that, okay? Take note of it. You didn't even ask. And if they say something like, well, that's really cool, because it usually takes so-and-so, whatever the dog's name is, takes them a little while to warm up. I had to get her, I rescued her from a abusive household, or him, you know what I'm saying? If they say anything like that right off the bat, I would have to tell you that's going to be a red flag. I know it is for me, because I didn't even ask where you got the dog. I asked, can I pet the dog? I asked permission to pet the dog. I didn't ask where that person got it from. I didn't ask none of that. I didn't ask the history, and they want to go ahead and offer it anyway. Okay, I am going to be like, that's nice. Okay, and I'm going to say, have a nice day, and I'm going to walk away. I mean, it's just, yeah. So, so the dog being a German Shepherd type, and the interbreeding problem. Okay, so dogs from puppy form can have issues. Okay, so there's one aspect. Okay, so some interbreeding can lead to problems with the back legs. Okay, thank you for sharing that part, because I was wondering about it, as far as the ones that, when narcissists were, they're abusive towards their pets, and especially if it's a medium to large sized dog. I'm just noticing that seemed to be a trend. And yeah. And of course, like we talked about earlier, if a narcissist is rushing anybody to move in with them, that's a red flag. So your brother-in-law had 2 terrier-type dogs, disappeared overnight. He claimed ignorance, but his kids said that they believe he did away. Well, you know what? If he's a narcissist and he got sociopathic or psychopathic status, then yeah, he definitely did. Just like what? They just disappeared out of the blue like that? That's not normal. If they're being well taken care of and fed and things like that, that's not normal. That's not normal. And so, a lot of narcs get dogged when they have to go out to work during the day. Well, I don't know about that. As far as the dog being left alone, usually if they're trained right, and there's so many factors that go into that as far as a dog having anxiety. If a dog has anxiety, that tells me that their owner has it. I want to tell y'all something about the psychology behind dogs. And I read this in one of my magazines that I got about dogs and cats, and said that, I mean, again, I can work on trying to verify it, but it makes sense to me that if you want to know the personality, so to speak, if you want to know the personality of the owner, watch the behaviors of the dog. If the dog has anxiety, well, then so does the owner. And we know that anxiety is a negative emotion, which means anxiety is a demon spirit. So if it's suffering anxiety, well, okay, it has attachment issues. If it is whimpering because their owner left, then it's got serious attachment issues. And that tells me narcissist. That's what that's the only thing I can come up with. Because under normal circumstances, I've seen non-narcissists who have dogs who, when they take off to leave, the dog's just fine. Yeah, the dog's just fine. The dog's like, oh, they'll be back. I mean, so many things that go into that. And then, of course, trophy type dog, bully breeds. Oh, yeah, they got to look all macho and the owner doesn't care about it. It's just for appearances. Okay, you do have that aspect as well. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, when you think about dog fight, that's pure abuse right there. That's narcissism in action. I have never been a fan or supporter of any of that kind of stuff. Of course not. Chosen ones shouldn't support anything of that. No, because, yeah, right, the owner goes to work. Right, if the owner truly loved their dog, the dog gets used to them going to work, gets accustomed to the routine and the pattern, then that dog's gonna be all right. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of things. If the dog is showing any signs of anxiety, that means that the owner is has got anxiety. Maybe not be a narcissist, but you just kind of have to. Oh boy, that's major discernment right there. But I would say, okay, possible yeah, just depends. The dog should not have separation issues like that, though, under normal circumstances. No, the pet shouldn't. At least not after it's been trained and things like that. It might in the beginning, we can understand that, but over time, you got to really, you got to think about all those different factors. But when you understand that narcissists abuse their dogs too, and so I'm gonna go ahead and share one more thing with you all about something that caught my attention during one of the case studies, who also had a dog, and she claimed that they spoke this special language to each other, and I thought that was a bit odd, but it is what it is. I knew she was a narcissist. Like, okay, and so yeah, a dog that whimpers all the time, and I said, something ain't right. And then, of course, y'all know I'm talking about the Jezebel case study. After she spiked my drink and physically abused me, well, that answered that question I had about that poor dog. Even though the dog was nice to me and everything like that, I remember walking in the house and the dog gave me that downward eye, looking to the side, like not sure if I was gonna, not sure if I was gonna smack him or not. You've seen a dog when it does that, right? A friendly dog, for the most part, and they come at you and they're not sure, and they kind of do a little bit of a wincing or a hesitation, like, are they going to hit me or are they going to pet me kind of look. And that's the look I got from that dog. And so I said, okay, yep, all I needed to know. And her claiming that they had that special language was just a cover up for his whimpering, because, well, I mean, seriously, if no one else is around and that's the only living thing that the narcissist has who is physically abusive, that's the only thing that the narc has to abuse, and that's what's going to get the brunt, unfortunately. And, our hearts go out to those animals because they don't ask for that. And she did give me that story also, that she rescued the dog from an abusive home. See, that was also supposed to be part of the cover, hoping that I would never catch on that she herself is the one that abuses that dog, and that's why that dog keeps whimpering and whining all the time, because he's in pain. So there you go. It's an unfortunate truth, but yes, you've seen that covering up and the cowering of dogs. It is a sign of abuse. There you go. Thank you, Chris. It is a sign of abuse. And so I wanted to get on here and just briefly talk to y'all about that, so that you're not deceived. And when you go forward it's just another way to identify a narcissist is through their pet, what they say about it, their behaviors, their pet behaviors towards them, towards you. I mean, you just have to really use that discernment and pay attention to the subtleness of things like that, because we learn now going forward that we've got to catch that, because remember how they put on this persona for the public, right? They put on a different persona for the public. In other words, in the public eye, you would not know that they were abusive to that pet because of the way that they're behaving together in public. Same thing with their so-called partner, if they've got one at the time. And so if they are physically abusive, you wouldn't necessarily know it right away. So you've got to use that discernment. When you meet somebody and they've got a pet, take the time you need to assess the situation. Pay attention to these subtle red flags. Pay attention to things, because if they show any sign of abusing that pet, that tells you that they are a narcissist and that you don't want anything to do with them. All right? It's unfortunate for the pet, but yeah, I know you wonder, what do you do? Call animal control, whatnot? Well, see, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I pray. Of course I pray, because we live in a fallen world. We live in a world that, well, everything got to have physical evidence. Everything got to be proven, right? Everything got to have some sort of, it is what it is. Okay, so just keep on keeping on, fellow warriors. And right, well, that's the thing. If you don't love, I would say, if you don't love animals, don't get one. If you don't love your pet, don't get one. I mean, we say that a lot, yeah. That there's a lot of narcissists out here who have pets that should not have them. There's a narcissists who have kids, shouldn't have kids, but they do, right? So, if they use the restroom in the house because they're not walked, and the owner wants to punish that dog for doing that, right? Exactly. It's an unfortunate truth, but it does happen. And I'll tell you a little bit of a funny story, too, because animals can be like this. We had a cat, family cat growing up, who, well, my biological dad had a girlfriend that was that was living in the home with him, and I stayed briefly during the season, and with them, and it was kind of funny because the family cat did not like the girlfriend and would, well, poop in her shoes. Anyhow, yeah, it was something else, but there's that funny side of things, and of course we love that cat. She was something else. Did not like my dad's girlfriend at all during that season. All right, everybody, so there you go, a little bit of laughter on that one. I know, because it is no laughing matter when it comes to pets that are abused. Now, whether or not when the Jezebel who gave birth to me, when it was her turn to have the cat for some season, whether or not she was abusive towards the cat, I don't know. And I don't even want to think about it. Okay, because when the family cat passed away, she lived a very long life. So of course, a little, heartbroken and sad, because I had her with me in one of my own places there when I was just getting started there for a little while, when I was allowed to have a pet. So I had her for a season, and so she was very dear to my heart as well. But whether or not the Jezebel did, I don't know. My biological dad, I can tell you, was not. He thought it was funny when the cat would do what the cat would do. But anyhow, in fact, it was my biological dad that picked out that cat from a box in front of the mall and brought it home to us girls. Yep. I don't think I was more than 9 or 10 years old at the time, but it was my biological dad who, well, actually, the cat picks us. Remember that. Dogs, I think the humans pick the dogs, but I think cats tend to pick their human. I believe that's how that goes. And so my dad at that box, and somebody was giving away free kittens, and, well, that one picked dad. So he brought her home. So anyhow, there you go. Listen, we just got to keep on keeping on, but pay attention to that, okay? Yes, that was funny. Cat commentary on my dad's girlfriend at the time. Yep, Cat did not like her, and I can tell you that part of the reason was she was a narcissist. All right, and so yes, nice one for the biological dad wanting us girls to have a kitten. And it's not something we expected, but hey, it's all good. It's all good. But a little bit of a childhood sharing for y'all there. A chosen one, keep going. All right, keep going. But if you pick up on red flags of somebody that is abusive towards their pet, that should tell you right there what you're dealing with, and that you do not want to hang around them. All right, so keep on keeping on. Again, sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your continued support. Yes, until next time, let's make sure we give some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.